All right, I'm leaving the restaurant at the bottom of the Airbnb. Uh-oh, I feel a blister on my toe. Bad signs happening today, but... All right, I'm leaving the little restaurant that my Airbnb is above. But this is different. It's still dark out. It's dusky. I've seen this little glow on the horizon many a time. As I look down the street, there's like buildings everywhere, but if you look way down the street, you can see the little glow of the sun. So I see that all the time because it gets dark here in Japan in December at like 5 o'clock. But today's the opposite because I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and now it's a little after 6. So the sun's coming up. I've never seen the sun come up. For this whole run I've been in Japan, I have not been up for the sunrise. And this isn't exactly watching the sunrise from like the gorgeous, like a beautiful mountain shrine or something. This is just walking through the city, but whatever, man, I'll fucking take it. So yesterday I went to the steps from the movie Your Name, and I was surprised how much I liked it. I'm like, man, being here is actually really cool. For just a random set of stairs, it's sort of a moving experience. It was sort of like, oh, here we go, now I'm going across a bridge. That's a better view. That's a better view of the sun coming up. That's kind of pretty. Looking down the river. It's like the sun has still got a ways to go. It's pretty dark out there. And then in the other direction, it's like normal nighttime, It sort of looks like bluish night behind me. Where normally nighttime in Japan is just like frightening. It is so dark. But yeah, going to those steps, I was like, man, that's actually really nice. And I rewatched that movie last night, and it really holds up. It's a really good movie. So it kind of got me thinking that I do feel a little bit trapped in a way. I mean, it's good to be in central Tokyo. Like, I got to those Your Name steps very easily. But if I wanted to leave, if I wanted to get to the edges, to the outskirts, to some nature, that's very hard to do. But going to those steps and then watching the movie, it kind of put me in the mindset of, you know what, just be with the city. Just stick with the city. While you're in the city, then just be in the city. Don't try to fight it. Maybe I'll go back to that neighborhood today. Maybe I'll just soak it in, because just walking around for the afternoon was pretty cool. However, then I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. And I should have tried to go back to sleep because... I went to bed, I think, a little before midnight, so that's some sleep, but not enough. And then I always have my little routine where all my stuff is in the exact right spot. But somehow my phone that I always use maps with must have fallen out of my pocket where I always put it, because I couldn't find it. And it's just such a clear sign that I'm like, oh yeah, I am pretty fucking tired. Because I was getting very fucking annoyed. Because all I've got is this one little bunk. Everything is right here. Where's the phone? What the fuck? And I had to literally take everything that I own and every blanket and every whatever and just move each thing one at a time, until finally I found it under a blanket or something. All right, heading into Sumiyoshi Station. So yeah, I was like, this is such a clear indicator that I am tired and easily annoyed today, and I shouldn't be doing this. I didn't really sleep enough, but fuck it. Fuck all of that. Fuck going back to bed. Fuck all this staying in the city bullshit. I'm fucking out of here. The only question is, am I going to... My original plan was Ome. I always wanted to go to Ome Station. I haven't been there yet. Or I could go to the end of the line in Akigawa. But if I do that, that's like the waterfall plan. I don't know. I'll just start. It's going to take 2 hours. So I'll just start heading west, and I'll decide as I go. But yeah, fuck it. The best laid plans, right, are no fucking match for an idiot who decides like, I don't need to sleep. Fuck sleeping. Sleeping can go to hell. And it's like, yeah, all I gotta do is get on this same train that I took yesterday to get to the Your Name steps. Just keep going a little bit further to Shinjuku Station, and then just get on one of them westerly trains. And yeah, 2 hours sounds long. It's not that long. It goes by so fast. And I'm going against traffic. Everybody's coming into Tokyo in the morning, and I'm leaving. So these trains should be pretty empty, is the theory. I could really use a coffee too. I'll wait till I get to Shinjuku Station for that. For that freaking nonsense. Okay, I'm at the turnstile. Wish me luck. Well, I'm walking through a bunch of old style houses, really old style Japanese houses, and there's a very strong smell of incense coming from somewhere. Just to set the scene. But the good news is, I got off the train at Ome Station, which I've just always had my eye on, and I've never been to. And the good news is, as soon as I got off, I'm like, this is pretty beautiful. Just all these mountains and the trees all over the, tree-covered mountains. Oh man, I can already tell this is not going to be my sharpest episode. Yeah, it seems really beautiful out here. Now I'm walking through this nice, quiet neighborhood. I passed the incense smell, but I'm going by like an old cemetery. Cause yeah, I woke up at 5:30 and was like, fuck yeah, dog, let's do this. Let's go on an adventure. So it's a little after 9 a.m. and I'm there now. I made it. It cost about $11 for the trip, I think. But yeah, I think this plan can only be characterized as extremely fucking stupid. What the fuck? This is way too far to go on just like one way. I don't know what it is. I really think it must be being at this Airbnb that's like little bunks packed in with people. I think I just am not comfortable sleeping there. And that's the only explanation, that I just keep staying up all the time. And yeah, I was just thinking about that impulse I felt this morning. I wake up at 5:30 and it's just like, hey, you know what we should do? We should just fucking go. Because then I was thinking, as I was on a train, struggling to stay awake, it's like, would I have had this impulse if I was in one of those little apartments in Fukuoka? Or in the little apartment in Akigawa? Like any of the places where I just have my own room, my own little bed, my own little door I can close? I don't think so. I really think it is just that feeling of like, oh, there's people all around here. And soon they're going to wake up. And soon it's going to be the circus of everybody trying to use the showers and blah, blah, blahs. I could just get up right now. I could just get up and get the fuck out of here while everyone else is still asleep. What a great idea. I'll run about. I'll steal it. No one will ever know. Oh, my poor brain. And really, it's not physical. Like physical-wise, I feel fine. I had to stand most of the time on the train. Now it's time for a big long walk. None of that's a problem. It's really the brain is the problem with not sleeping. But yeah, at that Airbnb, I was saying how you can kind of get the feeling. I did a little research on the place and realized it had been around about 5 years. And you just get the feeling that like everybody really put their all into it in the initial setup. And now that it's 5 years later, it's a little half-assed. Things are just a bit shaky. Things are kind of falling apart. The processes are not going as smoothly as they clearly did at the start. And now that I've been there for a week or whatever, you can really see the turnover, the grind of running a place like that. Because like I show up and I'm at this new place and it's like, I don't know, everything should be just right, shouldn't it? I can just criticize every little thing that's not quite proper. Because I'm special, because I'm staying at this Airbnb. and everything should be just right for me, right? But I was just thinking with specifically just the person underneath me. Oh, here's a machine with nothing in it. Million Super Shop, empty. I'm passing a 7-Eleven, but I'm really not hungry. I do have one little coffee tucked away in my pocket. I got to assume I'm just going to find stuff on my journey. I think I'm fine, but I don't know. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Anyway, just purely based on the person underneath me is obviously the person that I'm keeping closest tabs on. So the first person's was the nightmare. Super snorers. Well, one of them was a mega snorer, the other one a normal snorer, and there was two of them in there for some reason. And that was weird because that was the one where the person on the top bunk across from me also snored. It's like sympathetic snoring or something. Because I haven't had anyone snore to any major degree, teeny little snores ever since then. When I first arrived, it was just it was like a war going on. It was like they were dropping the fucking air raid siren bombs, and it's just like, snore, 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 fuck you, you're never gonna get to sleep. But then that horrible situation dissolved, and then he seemed like a nice enough guy, but some dude who was always preening himself and pampering his body in the sense of, a lot of time in front of the mirror and such, but that's fine, I don't care, do that. It was the wearing strong cologne before you go to bed part that I was found a little suspect. That was a little weird. But then he disappeared, and then there was somebody who sounded kind of German-ish, but I only heard them say one thing. I just heard them ask, like, is it okay if I turn off the light to somebody? That was my non-distinct accent. That's not actually what they sounded like. And I think that person was only there for one day, because then I got in yesterday pretty early because I didn't stay out late. And I just hopped straight up in my little bunk. So again, I'm just hearing people. But then it was like, I think there's a girl beneath me, but I think the person on the bunk across from her was with her. And anyway, they were talking about time zones. Oh, what time is it compared to where you, old mate? There was I think it was the couple that were Australian. And I gotta say, I do respect this about Australians. Brand new place, brand new people they're just talking to or whatever. Hey, it's fucking 7 hours from here. Yeah, like just throwing in the casual swearing. I love that. I respect that. North America is at a very weird middle ground with swearing, where I love swearing, but I still feel like, maybe I shouldn't be swearing all the time. People give me shit about swearing. Dude, I mean, well, then the other guy was British, and he didn't say I don't think he swore in the little stuff that I heard, but, I wouldn't put it past him, and it didn't bother him. And I just like that about Englanders, and especially Australians. Hey there, cunt. They don't give a fuck. It's nice. But yeah. Oh, 7 hours ahead. I'm more fucked up. It's like, bitch, I'm 12 hours ahead. 13 if you fucking account for a time change. That's nothing. But instead of opening my little flap and joining in on the kibitzing, I just fucking stayed in my little bunk and I watched your name instead. Alright, this is the Tama River I've walked down to. I saw that there's a park near here with one of those nice little green lines that denotes pedestrianism. But wait a second, maybe this bridge isn't what I was looking for. No, okay, yeah, this must be it. So, Kaminafuchi Park appears to be where I'm going. I just figured, just to start off with, whatever, this seems good enough. Let's see what this is. And yeah, the Tama is the river that you have to cross to get to Akigawa. So this is where it starts, or at least earlier in the river, up north here by Ome. And there's a hotel over here. Good old hotels are everywhere. Oh man, yeah, this is fine. This is a weird plan. I really should have gone to bed even earlier if I was going to do this. I mean, I can't believe how early I got up. It was silly. But there's like one fisherman on this river, Nobody else, just nice and quiet. No one's around. This is great. This is just what I want. But yeah, the fact that there's been like 4 different cycles of people all the way through just that one bunk in just this week or so. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, multiply that by 5 years. No wonder nobody gives a shit anymore. I wouldn't either. You know, it's very hard to keep giving a crap, I think. Especially when it is just such a sort of faceless process. You're not really meeting people. It doesn't matter. It's just like whatever. You just got to keep your Airbnb going good enough that you don't get bad reviews, and then that'll do. So when you look at it that way, I'd say they're actually doing a pretty good job. So what if there's a fucking fridge that doesn't work? I wasn't going to use it anyway. Who gives a shit? I speak too soon though. Sure, there's nobody here, but of course the one person who is here in this park is a guy with a leaf blower. Because let's just make noise. Why not? And let's see, where am I trying to get to from here is the question. Now that I'm on the little island or across the river. Wonder if I can walk along the shore. Maybe I'll check that out. Because yeah, it looks like I can just stroll along this park. And then there's going to be a little more traffic. So let's do that while I'm yammering. So yeah, like I was saying, physical tiredness is not really the problem. It's more the mental instability that comes with not sleeping enough. Where I was at the station waiting for the train that goes to Shinjuku, the same one I took last episode to get to the Your Name steps. And I remember I was just like, I don't know, it's like mind over matter of like, I was still just like annoyed that the day started with me not being able to find my phone. You know, like this absolutely the stupidest shit. It was a 5-minute problem, although 5 minutes is a long time to be in your bunk and there's everything you own is right in front of you and you can't find the one thing. But it had also happened quite a bit earlier. I'd walked all the way to the station. I was just standing there. But it's just like one of those examples of being tired where I'm just like I guess I was just hanging on to this weird feeling of entitlement of like the world shouldn't put these roadblocks in my way. I didn't deserve to not know where my phone was immediately. Just the absolute stupidest, most spoiled, most weirdly entitled nonsense that could ever happen to a human brain. But I'm like watching this happen in my own brain and I'm like, God, this is the worst. This is just because I'm tired. I got a little excuse to be cranky when I first woke up and now my brain is just like hanging on to it, even though it makes no goddamn sense. So I'm trying to tell myself like, hey, you just got to have a better attitude here. This is so stupid. Like you're literally just grasping at anything that you can try to feel offended by or annoyed by and hanging on to it. And it's absolutely dumb and we're not going to do that. So fuck off. But mind over matter is very hard to do. That's one reason I love hiking around and stuff. Is because once you're out in a physical environment doing stuff, especially like going up a mountain, but even now. So now I'm like by the river, walk past the fishermen. I'm just walking up the shore. Got to be careful on these rocks a little because they're very uneven and I sort of definitely have I don't know, there's just so many things that could go wrong today where I think it's like a muscle in my foot that I pulled a little bit. I don't know. But there's like this nice sheer rock cliff on the other side of the river and it's fucking beautiful. And yeah, like once you're out doing something physical like this, going on a hike, that's when it's like hard to maintain those types of feelings. You know, like you really have to, instead of working at trying to feel good about your day when you're standing in a subway station at fucking 6 a.m., that's hard to do. Where it's the opposite, when you're out hiking in nature, that's where you have to like really try hard to not feel good. You know, I'd have to really summon it up right now to really try to be annoyed because you just feel okay. You know, sometimes you feel great, but the baseline is just so much higher. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just out in the world and it's fucking beautiful out and I can hear water and the scenery is amazing. I mean, I can see the water too. I'm just saying the sound I think helps, you know, it's like adds to the ambiance. Like, this is awesome. And then it's not like super nature. There's an apartment building across the river. There's little houses everywhere. There's another bridge. It's that nice mix though. Like, this is definitely my favorite type of Japan, is just nature adjacent when you're right next to some mountains. It just feels so good. But yeah, this is a big reason why I do these big fucking epic walks and shit every day, is because it just feels better. It just gets so tiresome trying to fight with your own neurotic brain. Where, again, it's one of these things that it's all so obvious, but I feel like I really was late to learning this because I just grew up as general fucking, I don't know, it's the video game guy, just a little nerd guy, whatever, just let him go do his nerd shit. You know, that delineation between, the smart book guy and then the sports people. And I feel like, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, just the education system or my family in general, anyone that I knew, just nobody did at all a good job of identifying to me or explaining or expressing that the body and mind are so connected. I think I was much more raised with the idea that they are disconnected, you know? It's like the only reason people get into physical sports stuff is because their brains ain't so great. So that's what they do. But if you got the brains, then fuck all that. Just use your brains, son. And it sucks. It's such a completely lame, limiting, ineffectual, ultimately damaging way to go about life. Because it's just such a process. It's such a loop. Your mind's connected to your body's connected to your mind. If you were a brain in a jar, you'd just be a very different creature without the stimulus of the body, without everything being attached and flowing together. And yeah, when I finally realized at some point, I guess I always walked a lot. Because deep down I knew it was better, I had a better day when I walked home from high school instead of taking the bus or whatever. But yeah, it was like such a nice discovery, but again, it's just what a weird society we're in, that this has to be a discovery, that this is something you ever have a chance not to learn. That when you go do physical stuff and do exercise and exert yourself physically, your brain just works way better. And all these fucking weird, annoying problems in your head just don't develop. But anyway, all that is to say, I was waiting for the train, and yeah, I was just in that grump mood of just like, come on, try not to be grumpy. But again, it's so hard to fight yourself. It's much easier just to get into a better physical situation, and then you don't have to fight the grumps anymore, because the grumps just go away. Case in point, right fucking now. I feel fine walking around on the shore, on the rocky shore of the Tama River. But then, yeah, it's not just grumpiness, it is just emotional erraticness when you're tired. Because then the train showed up and it looked real busy. And I was like, oh, damn, maybe 6 a.m. is not early enough around these parts. That train is pretty packed. But it wasn't that bad. It looked bad through the windows, but inside there was quite a bit of space. And especially if you can jockey yourself just to the position between two of the doors. That's nice, because then if people need to exit on one side or the other, they just flow to one side of you or the other side of you. No one has to jostle past you as people are getting in and leaving the train at each stop. You can just be a calm little ocean of not having to move. And then the train cleared out quite a bit on the way to Shinjuku. I thought maybe it would like pick up people. But I guess the thing is, like, Shinjuku is the hub, right, to take you to other places. So these were just people that work within Tokyo, so it's just dropping them off in whatever neighborhood they work in. So it got even less busy. And then at Shinjuku Station, I knew I needed the Chuo line toward Ome, of course, or toward Tachikawa. And I was like, there'll be a sign for that. but there kind of wasn't. It just said JR trains in general over here. And I was like, I guess, is that a JR train? I don't know. Probably. But I took a little step outside of the station just to get my bearings a bit, get away from the crowds. And that was kind of nice. Just like, oh yeah, Shinjuku Station. Now that I'm outside of it, I recognize this place. I've been here before. And while I'd been underground, it became daytime. The sun was up. Just barely, but it was up. And then I went to the JR thing, got on the Chuo line to Tachikawa. And it was, I was hoping that one would be less busy, because I was like, maybe I could sit down and just take a quick little cat nap on the train. But no dice there. But again, it wasn't like busy. It was fine. But it was, you got to stand up levels of crowdedness. So I just watched a guy play a game of Magic the Gathering on my phone that I'd previously downloaded. Now that I've stopped playing Magic the Gathering online because it was ruining my life, now I just get my Magic fix by watching people play it. And again, yeah, these long rides, they're never quite as long as they seem like they're going to be, because I only really had time to watch the one game. And I was not only at Tachikawa, I'd actually overshot Tachikawa just slightly. And that's where I realized the train that I wanted would either continue to go west or curve up to the north, but this one went down south. Actually went right by where my next Airbnb is. So I got a little taste of what that hood's gonna be like. Here's another bridge to get off of this park, but I think I don't want to do that. Or I guess I could, either way. But no, I think I'm gonna stay in this park. I'm gonna stay on this side of the river. So I considered that briefly. It's like maybe I should just take this as a sign. Maybe I should just let this train keep going and just see what happens. Because I'm not even quite sure how far it goes. It looks like it could go pretty far into the mountains. But I wasn't sure where the stop was. So I was like, never mind. I'll just get off at the next station, which was Hachioji, and loop back up to my beloved Haijima station. And yeah, my next Airbnb is basically right between Hachioji and Haijima. So it should be great for all of this type of stuff. It's very near here. I'm not sure how long I'm there for. I think a week. And again, God, so expensive. Where almost a month in South Korea is $400, the 1 week in this other place is like $550. It's like, fuck me. But it is like a whole place again. It's like, and it's got, bunks and stuff. It'd be one of those things that would be just perfect if I was sharing it with other people and splitting it with other people. It's just getting a private room by yourself. It's just not a great idea. It's really expensive. But I just wanted something else in this location so I don't have to take these 2-hour rides. So I didn't really have a lot of choices. Though there was a place up here near Ome that I almost booked, but it was another bunk situation. And coming off the previous bunk that I'm at right now, I just didn't want to do 2 of those back to back. That was probably the right call. But next time, maybe. So far, I've only been here half an hour, but Ome is pretty nice. I like it. Just walking up some wooden steps now. Up to a nice little bench area with a little sign that says no overnight camping at this park. No problem. I'm in this little place with a little fucking roof. Let me just stop here for a moment, drink this coffee that's in my pocket while it's still warm. But yeah, I figured since if I kept going west from Hachioji, I don't know where it goes. I don't know what that whole deal is. And I gotta get back, So I'll save that for the next Airbnb, because then it'll be a relatively short journey to get back, not all the way across Tokyo type of journey. Today's not the day for that. So yeah, I got myself headed back up to Haijima. And that's where I'm in like a pretty obscure part of Tokyo at this point. So that was helping the crowd stay down, but it was getting closer and closer to work time. It was like 8 a.m. by then. So that was also building up the crowds. So you could really feel it, like it's It's like two tides fighting against each other, where there was like a long line of people that looked pretty bad waiting for the train. But then once the train got there, it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't that full. And I started looking at my little Google map and I tried to figure out, like, okay, so what am I doing today? Because my original plan was to come up here to Ome, but then I thought I could go to the Itsukaishi line and out to the Congo Falls, because I'm going to do that at some point. And I got started so early that, I'd be doing that right now. I'd be at that station by now, heading out to do that walk. And I think I could make it no problem. It would be no problem. And that's definitely on my itinerary, but that's another thing that could easily wait for the next Airbnb. And just to make it to give myself a little more wiggle room, just knowing that I have a smaller journey back. This, I don't want this particular adventure to go on too long, not only because I didn't sleep too much, but I also got the huge train ride back. And even though I am, again, going against most of the commuters, probably won't be too bad, but if I can still kind of get that rolling before 5 o'clock, that wouldn't hurt. Though I suspect the last leg, once I get down to Shinjuku, those trains are probably going to be busy no matter what. I don't know how to avoid that. That's just inevitable, probably. But who knows? I'm certainly no train expert, so I'm never really quite sure what's going to happen. So the other plans were Okutama. If you continue on from here and go quite a bit further, it's the technically farthest away station on the Tokyo subway system. Lake Okutama's out there. And I watched some YouTube stuff about it, and it seems like there's not really anything much there, but I presume there's hiking trails and stuff. It's going to take some definite exploration, so I think that's yet another thing, better saved for when I have a nearer Airbnb. Or looked up, by the way, that train station from your name, and it's funny that it stuck in my mind so much, and apparently a lot of people's, because it's such a small scene. It's such a tiny, it's like 10 seconds of that movie. But basically the town in your name that the girl is from, it's a fictional town. And it's a lot closer in your name because at one point she takes a day trip into Tokyo and she can just get into Tokyo and then get back in a day. It's no big problem. And similarly when he goes out there. But the real places, there's one place that's a big lake town that's out by Nagano, I think. But then the main town that most of the scenery is based on besides the lake is north from there, I believe. Anyway, it's about a 5-hour drive, and you can get there on transit, but it's 9 hours. Which I was thinking, that's actually very doable, but not if you're coming back. Not as a round trip. 9 hours on subways and stuff, hey, whatever, Especially if you did it in 2 legs. But even if you did it in 1 day, I don't know, that's a bit of an adventure. But you'd have to have an Airbnb on that end waiting for you, or a hotel or something. That's as you journey across Japan, that'd be totally doable. But in my circumstances, not at all doable. So not going to make that plan, not going to make that trip. And I probably never will anyway. It's just a train station. But you never know. If you just need a random target for no good reason, just an excuse to go somewhere, on my next trip to Japan, who the fuck knows? But yeah, what I decided, what sparked joy in me as I was scrolling around on Google Maps, I was so from Ome, because this was an idea I had a long time ago, can I walk from Ome to Akigawa? Because they're not necessarily that far from each other. It's just that there's a dang mountain in the way, which I'm looking at right now. And it's it's not that scary looking of a mountain. It doesn't look, it looks pretty surmountable. The question is just, is there a path? I don't want to just bushwhack across it. It's way too big for that. And you got to assume, Japan's full of hiking trails and stuff. There's got to be something. And I think as I was zooming in closer, I think I did find one that should work. But what really got me is as I was scrolling down, I'm okay, so here's Ome, and then here's the little surrounding town, which I'm in right now, which I presume is Ome. And then there's the mountains. I gotta, maybe take a little detour a bit to get to what looks like a hiking path. There's definitely roads through the mountain. But if I have to walk along the edge of a mountain road, that's not exactly what I'm looking to do. if worse came to worse, I guess I could, but I would rather not do that. But then as I'm scrolling down, it's like, there's the fucking Aeon Mall near Akigawa Station. The mall that I love so much, the mall that I spent way too much time in when I had an Airbnb near there. And that's the little thing that sparked in me. I was like, now that's a fun idea. I get to go to Ome, the station I've been meaning to go to for ages. I get to try to navigate my way across these mountains, these beautiful ass mountains. Because I went a little bit the other way. Like, I have walked north from that mall a little bit, but I didn't have a proper smartphone at the time, so I didn't have maps and stuff, and I just didn't really know where I was. I just got to the edges of some mountains and took a picture of how beautiful it was and went back. So I'm like, what if I can navigate over these mountains now, and then as a reward, I get to go to that mall that I like. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, that's everything. I like the travel part of it, I like the woods and outdoorsness part of it, and I like the mall part of it. That's got everything. And then from there, I easily know how to, I mean, it's not that tough to get back anyway, but I definitely know how to get back from that station. I've done it a bunch of times. But yeah, even though this is like very far west, there's only a few major spots. You start at Shinjuku, you got to make sure you're on the right line at Tachikawa. Then at Haijima, again, you got to just pick, you going to Ome or you going to Itsukaishi or various other places. There's a bunch of other places, but as far as mountainous regions, those are the main ones. So, I mean, it's kind of like you're only really going 4 stops. Just 4 stops with dozens of little stops in between. But it really just didn't, I don't know, I mean, I guess I thought it was going to take 2 hours. It took, when I got detoured, it took more like 3. From 6 to 9 to get here. But it really doesn't feel like it. Like, again, I mean, I watched fucking Saffron Olive of MTG Goldfish play one fucking game of Magic. And I started listening to a podcast, and then here we are. It's just not that bad. Wouldn't want to do it every day. Ah, man, and yeah, I think just also coming from going up the mountains every day or two in Fukuoka and then straight into the city. Very exciting at first, like, whoa, I'm right in the middle of Tokyo, cool, all this stuff's so close. But I was definitely ready to come soak in some mountains again. I just love that feeling. You're just looking around at everywhere. It's like a 360 panorama here. There's fucking mountains everywhere. It's fucking nuts. Fucking awesome. My favoritist type of Japanese landscape. The small city or town or whatever the fuck you call this, next to the mountains. So that's the plan. From Ome to Akigawa Station with a mountain and a mall in the middle. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know what the deal is with this mountain. Hopefully it's just, hey, here's a nice hiking trail. Go fill your boots. Because, let's see. Let's test my Google Map foo. It's almost 10 o'clock. I should really get going. As the crow flies, it's only a 10-kilometer walk between Ome and Akigawa Station. Presumably, I got a lot more bullshit ahead of me than that. It's not going to go that easily. But yeah, 10K, and not even a round trip. Just, one way. That's very approachable. That seems like no problem at all. However, it'll be a lot easier if I fucking get moving. So I'm going to do that. Holy fuck, dude. This neighborhood is so beautiful. It's all like, again, the older style houses. And little, like, a bit of farm type stuff going on here. Not a bunch. There's one guy sitting kind of on a little bridge behind me talking on his phone. Other than that, there's also nobody fucking here. Man, I mean, talk about museums and shit. I feel like I'm in a museum right now. Like I'm in a museum of like just a Japanese village. It's like weird. Where the hell is everybody? I mean, what day is it even today? Thursday? Thursday at 10 a.m. Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's just There's obviously not much in the way of jobs to do around here, so I guess everybody just went to work. Or they're just hanging out in their houses. Yeah, it's dang beautiful anyway, and I'm wearing my bigger coats today, my 2 big jackets. It's a little bit windy, because this morning it was pretty cold, obviously, before the sun came up. It's like 5 degrees. The weather said it was going to get warmer, like 12 or 13, and it is definitely getting warmer. But it's also a little chill in the wind. So just to be on the safe side, I'm all bundled up. And even that, it's like an idling engine. I guess one of those trucks must be on, but nobody's in it. Japanese zombie apocalypse, man. How come we don't have that? It's always fucking America with your zombies. I want to see zombies in Russia. I want to see zombies in Japan. I'll also take zombies in France. I don't care. So many opportunities for zombie stories. Oh, here we go. There's some traffic coming up behind me. Good then, the world didn't end. There are some people. Yeah, I just got to figure out where to go with this fork. So I saw a thing on the map. Mount Nagabuchi Trail, Nagabuchi. Looks like if I follow this road past an auto body shop, the road part ends, but the little trail signs do not end. And they appear to go all the way to the other side, to Hinode. Oh, and in fact, the Aeon Mall is in Hinode. See, I guess somewhere in there is the phantom marker. I'm in Hinode now, and it becomes Akiruno, but surprisingly, not before the mall. It's somewhere between the mall and the railway line. Hinode is the area between Akiruno and Ome, which mainly seems to be a mountain. Ooh, the wind. But so anyway, this mountain trail, this is what I'm pinning my hopes and dreams on. Because beyond that, there is a lot of, it's very hard to tell with mountainous regions what's actually going on. But on my little pre-downloaded map, it's quite a sea of nothingness. So if not this, I think I'll just stay in Ome. I don't think I'll try to forge my own path. But this looks pretty promising. And man, I just ran into a weird example of, you may remember way back when I was in Sengenjaya. Oh, speaking of, I saw a street sign in your name when I rewatched it last night. A sign saying like, Sengenjaya, this way. And I was like, Sengenjaya, I know what that is now. I've been there. It's neat to add in the little bits. Man, there's this overpass that I walked over 3 times yesterday. And I did have this vague feeling like this overpass does feel familiar, but I didn't know if it was a your name thing because it's just an overpass, those are all pretty common. But yeah, it turns out it is. That was, in fact, the one right by the Christmas market I was at. And it's like the 3rd fucking star of that fucking movie. There's so many scenes that take place on that overpass. So that's kind of neat too. But it obviously doesn't have the same effect because I just walked across it and I was like, this maybe might be the place. As opposed to the stairs, where the stairs are like, oh, fuck, those are the stairs. That's definitely the stairs. But back when I was in Sengenjaya, I was rambling about the sort of phenomenon that happens sometimes in Japanese drink machines where the price is almost the same for 2 sizes of drinks. There's the big one and the small one. But the small one is about the same price as the big one. So that just kind of happened where I saw a machine and I'm like, this might be my last machine before I get into the hiking. Grabbed a coffee to put in my pocket. But they also had Monster. Good old American-ass Monster. And I always see those in the machines and I'm like, bull, Monster. Why would I ever get that? Gross. But today I just want to fill myself with caffeine, before I partake in this fucking mountain hike. And the Monster cans are just like in North America, those great big awful gigantic super cans. that really seem out of place in Japan. Of course, in North America, we also have mega cans that are even bigger than that. But I didn't want that because it's like, geez, I've already been drinking coffee all fucking day. I don't need that much liquid in me. Get all bloated, gorged. So the big monster can was 230 yen, and a little teeny one was 210. It's almost the same price. Although the little one also, I guess this throws off the math a little, purported to be super strength. But I got the little one because I'm like, man, perfect. Even though it's about the same price, I just want the little one. I just want you to give me your sweet, sweet medicine. I don't want this giant, awful can. So I bought the little one, but I guess it's not quite the same because I did buy a smaller can of extra strength, I guess. But hey, what are my stories if not pointless? I was also thinking, this idea of the stairs from your name and the overpass, there was actually another case like that happened to me in Toronto, completely by accident, with Scott Pilgrim. So I worked at a comic shop when Scott Pilgrim first came out, and what I think is somewhat forgotten about the history of Scott Pilgrim is that it really started off slow. Brian Lee O'Malley did this comic called Lost at Sea that was not extremely popular. And yeah, I didn't love it either. It was alright. Kind of a dour, slice of life-y thing. But the whole reason I worked at that comic shop is because I was the guy who read that type of shit. Rather than superheroes, I knew about all the black and white crap. So I already knew him from when he drew the Hopeless Savages, especially, and I knew him a little bit from impro manga. But when Scott Pilgrim came out, the first volume actually sold even worse than Lost at Sea. He said that he decided to make this long-running series because the idea was maybe it would pick up steam as it went. And boy, did it. that turned out. But at first, it seemed like a terrible mistake. I loved the first Scott Pilgrim. It's still my favorite one because it's the most down-to-earth one, you know? It's kind of a shock when he fights Matthew Patel and all of a sudden it's a fight comic. You're like, what the hell? And he said he kind of did that on purpose just to swerve people. This route forward is not clear. It's got to be this way. There's a little road here with some old ladders laid in front of it because it is big enough for a car. So this is like, hey, don't drive your car here, but on foot, this has got to be the place. Man, though, this is like a junkyard behind this this auto shop I just passed. It's like an old CRT monitor sitting here. It's obviously been here for like 20 years. The classic blue tarp, just random old junk all over the place. Now, wait, maybe this ain't right. I think I've gone somehow a little off trail. I'm at a honey farm, apparently, or nearby. Let me backtrack a bit. But anyway, luckily Scott Pilgrim picked up steam. Incredibly so, you know. And then by the time I moved to Toronto in 2010, it was between the release of Volume 5 and 6. So as I'd walk around Toronto, I already knew all this stuff from the comics. So like, oh, there's Honest Ed's, and oh, there's the fucking staircase, and the fucking castle at the top, and all that shit. So it was cool to see all those things. But then the movie came out, and the final shot of the movie of Scott and Ramona walking toward the door that's just set up in the alleyway to teleport them away. I had that as the wallpaper on my computer. So I saw that scene all the time. So just, you know, by just using my computer, it just kind of burned into my subconscious. And at the time I lived by the St. Lawrence Market. And I was walking around that neighborhood, just randomly walking around. And I turned the corner at Cherry and Front Street. I just turned my head And I just stopped in my tracks. I was like, whoa, wait, what the hell? It was like the same time of day and everything, you know? And I was like, that's the fucking view. That's the view of Toronto in the distance, the skyline, that intersection. And I was like, holy hot damn, that's definitely the scene. And then I went home and looked it up, and that was it. They're like, yep, filmed at Cherry and Front Street. And that was just really cool because I had no idea. I knew they filmed obviously in Toronto, but I had no idea that was there. I kind of forgot about that because that was some time ago. But I was thinking, like, imagine if that happened with the Your Name staircase. I mean, even though that's a very central area and quite a popular neighborhood, you do have to go through some twisty back streets to get to that particular staircase. It'd be very easy to miss. But if you were just walking along, I bet you'd have that exact same feeling. You'd just kind of stop and be like, wait a goddamn minute. This feels familiar. Is this the place? All right, maybe this is it. I tried backtracking a little, and backtracking was not right. Going up into the mountain was not right. Now here's another path, another really old road, chained off so cars won't go up it. And this sign is filthy. No entry other than forestry vehicles. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I think this is indeed the path I'm looking for. Because if it's a forestry vehicle fucking road, although I use the term road generously, this thing is really overgrown, then it probably cuts right through, which is what I'm looking to do. But man, yeah, this is a dilapidated trail. People are not using this shit, that's for sure. This is not a popular hiking spot, it's safe to say. The number of people looking to make their pilgrimage from Ome to Akigawa. I just use Akigawa and Akiruno interchangeably because Akigawa Station, to me, is the central point. Just because that's where my Airbnb was. But yeah, so far so good. Here's hoping this does just go all the way through. Man, it's weird to have your memories kind of overwritten a little. Because I'm still thinking of my old Airbnb from 2019 that was near Akigawa Station. But I did stay at that exact same building with that exact same guy this time. But that was the little place with the train, I mean, the other one had the trains going by as well. But because I was just in an apartment at the back of the building, elevated from the ground, it wasn't a problem. But yeah, now it's like, oh yeah, I guess I have technically been back there, but it's such a radically different experience that I guess in fact that is my memories not being overwritten in this case. The old memory is staying strong, just sort of pretending that new one didn't happen. Being back in the neighborhood was good, but being next to them trains sure wasn't. This certainly does feel more natural though. This is reminding me a lot of when I tried to get to those weird castle ruins near Itsukaishi and totally failed. But then I did make it to that park that led into the cool mountain trail, which led to the falls and all that stuff. I mean, this isn't that far from here. But this feels like that. I just hope this doesn't become a dead end like that one did. But yeah, this feels a lot more natural to me. I was trying to convince myself, and maybe I'll still do it, but yeah, really trying to convince myself, like, it's fine to just stay in the city. Don't worry about it. That was fun to walk around and see the Your Name stuff and whatever. Soak in whatever the fuck even neighborhood that is. It's like between Shinjuku and Shibuya. So I'm never quite sure which one of the two I'm in. And yeah, that was fun. It was a nice little day. But I don't really want to do that day after day after day. Whereas walking through a mountain trail, and there's like a big gorge next to me, really tall ridge on my left, much less tall on my right. I'm kind of walking through the valley. All these trees and stuff. The path is really just kind of marked by leaves. It doesn't look like fall in here. Still a lot of green trees, but I guess that's because all the ones that did have leaves that could fall, I guess they've fallen at this point. So they're all on the ground. But it kind of makes the path easy to follow. It's like, yeah, just follow the leaves. This is, I could do this every day. This is the kind of thing that really doesn't get old. It is the weirdness of nature though. Like, it's not exciting. Being in central Tokyo is kind of exciting. Like, whoa, overpasses and people and Christmas markets and all this stuff. Where this is just, being in nature is so nicely neutral. It's not exciting in that way. But there's just no downside as long as you don't get lost, or attacked by a wild boar. You just feel generally good, or I was going to say, or I do, but it's not like this is a weird experience. This is the normal, natural human experience, to just walk in a trail through the woods. And it's just kind of weird that we got to fight so hard for it nowadays. Because if you got to take a 3-hour train ride, it's understandable why people don't, Who can afford to do that all the time? No one's got time for that. And it's such a strange catch-22 that Airbnbs and stuff out in these areas are not cheaper. They actually tend to be more expensive because they're not that popular and there's not as many of them. But it sure is nice is all I'm trying to say. Yeah, this is way more rugged than I expected. This is really not, there's no trail markers even, or those ribbons tied to trees and stuff, or little posts in the ground. It really does seem like just straight up nobody uses this shit. But as long as I get to the other side, it was all good. Even if I don't, whatever. At this point, even if I get halfway through and I have to turn around, what difference does it make if I go back from Ome Station or from Akigawa? It's all basically the same. But this trail is definitely getting less and less distinct. At this point, there would be no more ability, I think, for forestry vehicles to drive this far. So I don't know if this is going to work or not. I guess we'll see. Well, this is kind of cool. I haven't succeeded for sure, but I've made it a bit further. I feel like I solved a nature puzzle. First off, though, this is a first. Somehow my bottle of water is just gone. It's just not here. And I'm like, shit, how did that happen? So I apologize to the forest gods that there's a plastic bottle now somewhere on this mountain. That's my bad. That's my fault. If I had dropped it back where all the trash was by the blue tarp and the computer monitor and stuff, it wouldn't even matter. But who knows, maybe someone will find it. Not that I'm very deep. I'm literally, it's very close from here to civilization. Nobody's going to be desperately searching for water at the point that my bottle must have fallen out. But you never know. What if somebody found it and they're just desperate? And it's like, it's like a full bottle of water. Maybe it'll be useful to someone someday, but I don't think so. I think it's just litter. This is actually remarkably similar to when I lost my passport in 2019. I think the same thing happened because I got all these layers. I got too many layers. It's getting warmer and warmer. I think when I took my coat off, usually I have my bottle of water just in the back pocket of my jeans, even though it weighs my jeans down a little bit. Got to tug them up once in a while. But because I was sitting on the train, I took it out of my back pocket and put it in one of my jacket pockets, and it must have fallen out while I was carrying my jacket around. Pretty much exactly the same scenario. Although losing a water bottle is a lot less bad than losing a passport. And I still got a little coffee. I do have a little coffee that I bought, so I got some liquids on me. But anyway, yeah, that trail did just peter out. Very disappointing, but it's very telltale. It really was exactly like the other time this happened to me by Utsukaishi Station, where it starts out as a big enough for a car road, and then it narrows down to a single lane, and then ferns start to overtake it, and then it's just gone. And I walked like back and forth twice, and I'm like, nah, if there was a path, I mean, I would see it, you know? It's one thing where it can be hard to determine where a path is, but it's very easy to tell where a path is not. And I'm just like, there's just nothing here. There's nothing. I don't know. Maybe we're done for today. But then I started thinking back to my previous times walking around on mountains in Japan. And the one thing is that it's always on the ridge of a mountain. Every path through the mountains is on the ridge. The ridge is the place. Oh, because that's the other thing. On my little Google Maps, like there is no green line here to designate a path, but there often isn't. Google Maps is a bit spotty with those. But the good thing about that, I guess, is if you see the dots, then there is something there. You know, it only does it when it's a fairly major route. Where this thing I've been following, it's got these little markers, these little green hiking men, and it called it a trail, but I'm almost at, if I just go a little further, there is a for real path with a little dotted line, although this time it's not a green one, it's a brown one. I don't actually know what that means. But I'm so close to it. It would be a shame to go all the way back, and it's only 11:15. It's still really early in the day. And I was like, well, I guess I could just try to bushwhack my way forward, but being down in the valley, it was just getting worse and worse. It's like, dude, there's just too much stuff down there. It's just, there is no path. This is, no. It's a shame, because we're almost there, presumably, but it ain't working. But then I looked up at this ridge next to me, and it really wasn't that steep. And I'm like, let's just go up there and just see. At least you get a vantage point from up on the ridge. This is really not that big of a mountain. So I put on my little stretchy gloves just so I could grab onto trees and stuff, clamber up the side of this thing, because it wasn't that steep, you know, just a little bit. And then up at the top, this definitely, it's some kind of path, but very rarely used. I think probably used by animals more than people, but I do think people used it at some point. It's again, very vague, but it's definitely a path up on the ridge of this mountain here. And as I was walking down it, then I saw the little red marker in the ground. So usually it's ribbons tied to trees that they have in Japan to show you where a path is. These little markers, I believe, are not so much for a path, they're just, for people doing geography shit. Surveying the area. Just making a note of the mountain ridge. So I'm at post 159 here. But yeah, the posts are very frequent, they just keep popping up. So I'm walking along this ridge, and it is essentially a path. It's hard to tell how much of this is like a path made by people or just the natural, how the mountain is, there's just paths at the top. Yeah, there's 160, so that's an example of how far it takes to get to one. They're constant. So I feel like this is gonna work, Maybe back there somewhere, there was a way for these two things to connect up. Clearly that path I was on should have led me to this ridge. Because now that I look down into the valley, it's just a lot of trees down there. It's just very impassable. That would never have worked. Where this is just a nice ridge that some surveyors have already been to survey. So I'll just keep following the path on the ridge, keep following the little red markers. And if anything goes wrong here, again, I can still just easily turn around and go back the other way. And if I do that, I'm gonna fucking pick up my water bottle and write that wrong. 161. Oh, and there's a red marker. A pink ribbon tied to the tree. Yeah, what is that? This is so weird. Like I was on one fading path that was just disappearing more and more. And then it's like I had to pick up, like if you got a train set and your train gets stuck on one of the tracks and you have to physically lift it and place it on a different track. I feel like that's what I had to do. I had to forcibly move myself onto another part of the mountain. But now that I'm here, it's like, yeah, okay, here we go. This is a path now. But the two pieces just don't quite connect up. But yeah, I feel mildly proud that I connected those dots in my brain. 163, I think I walked around 162. Just that very simple lesson. Hey, if every mountain path you've ever been on is on the ridge of the mountain, the only one, I guess no, there was one that was in the valley. The one in Fukuoka, where I first saw the big mystery white signs in the woods, 164. That one actually was in the valley. But other than that, it's all ridges. So I was like, hey man, if it's all ridges, and that's a ridge right there, let's go ridge it up. Hey, now look at this. Now that is a for real path. Is this the mythical brown dot? And there's a bunch of ribbons tied to trees. Yeah, this is an unmistakable, actually in use path. Yeah, I bet if I doubled back now, definitely something I would do if I lived near here, because there's clearly an entrance to this fucking path. At some point, there's a better way to begin this than walking past the old mechanic's place and the weird disused bee farm. It's definitely a better beginning, but I have no idea where it is. But yeah, now that I'm on the proper path, yeah, then it's a little further to Sports Tubunka Namori Yatazawa Field. I'm not reading that out. I'm just spelling that. It's too fucking long. The Hinode Funeral House. And then the Akagawa Cemetery is the big cemetery behind the mall that I found in 2019. Sweet. So yeah, this particular path just connects up to Highway 31. At which point, there's still a little ways to go, but at that point I probably will just walk on the road. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool, because like I was really only, like the space between the failed path and then getting up to the real path, very small. But I'm still, I don't know, I'm like proud of myself that I bridged the gap, that I figured out what to do. Because it does not take much, you know? As soon as the path is gone, if the only option ahead of you is to bushwhack through the fucking foliage, yeah, maybe you only have to do it for 50 meters or something. But that might as well be a million, especially if you don't really know if you're going to get to anywhere on the other end. More little ribbons. Yeah, I mean, I should have known right from the start something was weird about that path, just because there were no ribbons. There's always ribbons, you know. Japan has a very big population. Everywhere that you can hike, someone has hiked. And they always put little ribbons. Maybe I shouldn't say Japan has a big population, but Tokyo does. Tokyo has a huge population. Everywhere around here that you can hike, someone has hiked. Cool. And yeah, now here's a branch where I could go two ways. And they're both ribboned up. And here's a sign. Holy shit. Talk about civilization. Hatanaka Komaki Town is where I came from, according to this sign. 0.7 kilometers to something about water and spring roads. And then 0.2 to Uma something or other pass. Well, I mean 0.2. 0.2 is fucking close. Let's do 0.2 first. and see what it is. Man, yeah, this has really gone from no markings to like excessive markings. There are like symbols all over the trees here. Like spray painted symbols on the trees, which is a little weird. That doesn't seem like something the normal hikers or the surveyors would do. That again feels like I was saying about the mountain road in Fukuoka. Feels like I should get to the end of this and it's like an orc encampment where they got big spiky fucking pillars to make the walls with skulls on them. Geez, now there's a path with tons of markers again going down, but I'm gonna stay on this more major route. Shit, dog, yeah, this is another one of these cases where it's like, yeah, you could just hike this over and over. You could hike this for 2 weeks and probably just keep going different places. There's all kinds of different little paths and stuff. Man, there was probably some kind of entrance to this trail system with like a giant archway and like angels flying above it and all this stuff. Ah, come in and hike all our beautiful, extremely well-maintained, super duper well-marked, sign-posted trails. Oh, you walked in through the garbage dump? Yeah, well, you're gonna have a harder time, my friend. Whoa, what is this? So there's some fences here to keep one out. And a great big, it's kind of like by Itsukaishi when I found that big power plant in the middle of the woods. In this case, it's like a huge tower spewing out just like white smoke. It looks kind of like steam. Tema Lumber Center Union, so maybe this is a lumber place. But I'm at Mabikizawa Pass is where I'm headed. I think I might be going the wrong way though. I think I should turn around and go the other way. This path goes to Mount Akaboko and Fuda Falls and all kinds of stuff that is probably wonderful. But I mean, hey, I guess I am going to an Airbnb near here. Maybe I will come back to this fucking trail. But I wonder if that's what the point 2 was just was referring to. Hey, look at the gigantic factory. You know, maybe I will keep going this way. Forget the fucking mall. If I keep going this way, it looks like I can loop around, basically just back up more or less to where I started. I would just end up 1 or 2 stations beyond Ome. So kind of a loop through the woods. Oh, and look, there's an old guy jogging. Yeah, we're civilization. Hello. But yeah, rather than pass through, I think this is what I'm gonna do. Plus, I mean, hey, a guy just came jogging from that direction. I guess I did my, I did my off-roading. I did my one weird, like, all right, let's just try this and see if it works. And it worked. I feel like there's no need to tempt fate of maybe needing to do that anymore. Let's just take the path that's already here, that's all set up, that people just jog on. This is still a pretty cool, nice loop through the woods. And yeah, cutting through to Akiruno definitely seems possible, but I have a feeling that it might involve just walking down a highway for the last bit. And I just don't want to do that. Let's just stay in the woods. Wow, yeah, this fucking lumber factory is enormous. All right, so a version of the original plan kind of sort of worked out. Shinmeisha, Shinmeisha shrine is supposedly where I am, though I don't see that shrine. But that's what's marked on the map. So that was a bit of a weird mountain path because it's a beautiful mountain path, but it was next to the gigantic mega fence with an occasional beautiful view of the mega factory, which is, it's similar to that power station in just that it's like really big and it's kind of impressive in its own way, but it's not quite what you come to nature for. It's like, well, okay, that's kind of cool though in its own way. And there were a bunch of other paths that split off from there, which I think were or one of them was the main path to Mount Acapulco and Tengu Rock. But I wasn't really sure which one or where they went. So again, that'd be just stuff to explore in the future. But for now, I think just that little bit of how this started, this initial thing of having to scramble up a mountain. Oh, here's the shrine. All right, let's go up to the shrine. Having to scramble up on a mountain ridge and then following those surveyor markers. I mean, even though that didn't take that long, I was only doing that for 15 minutes. Just the very notion that might be what this ended up being. Like, I think it would have worked if I had to just follow survey markers along the ridge across the entire mountain. It's not that big of a mountain. I'm already on the other side. I think that would have worked. But it's just kind of an uncomfortable prospect. That's really not, I was like, yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Let's just go attempt this and see how it goes. But there are so many paths and everything's so well curated around here, as it turned out to be, that notion that I might just have to follow surveyor markers was like, well, this is not really what I wanted to do. This kind of is bad. It may be functional, but it ain't great. So once I got to such clear signs of civilization, such as a awesome path next to a fence and a huge factory and a guy jogging, and then I passed a construction guy as well, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay on this path, this super developed path next to the factory. It may not be the prettiest walk, but it's the farthest thing from forging your own fucking path along the mountain ridge. And the shrine is really bare. It's closed up, but there's not much in there either. This is not a very active shrine, it appears. I don't even see any rakes around to rake up the leaves, and they almost always have those. So yeah, this is kind of an inactive shrine, I would say. Here they are. I had to go around back. Of course they're here. There's a whole bunch of them. Straw brooms, a whole whack. However, I'm not going to sweep up the leaves because no one's coming here anyway. Yeah, there's like 4 of these things. Oh, and then there's bigger ones that have like, instead of straw brooms, they're like rakes made of curved wood. I've never seen those before. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Japan is sort of predictable in some ways, but in a nice way. I was like, there have to be brooms here. That's part of the deal. People sweep up the fucking shrines. It's like a cool thing. And indeed there were. Again, it feels like a video game. I just had to solve the puzzle. But yeah, so because I followed that route, instead of delving off into the woods again, I inadvertently did come out on the other side, just not where I expected to. So from here, actually, yeah, it's pretty much right where I did intend to be. Once I follow this road, I'll connect to that Route 31 I was mentioning. And there's the Sports Tobunkanamori Yatazawa Field, the longest name ever, and Hinode Funeral, and the Akigawa Cemetery. All right, man, original plans on. We made it. We made it across the mountain. We did not see Mount Acapulco. We did not see Tengu Rock. We did not see Shiraiwa Falls, but actually those are pretty far away. We weren't going to see those anyway. Man, though, yeah, like, fuck, there's so much stuff. You could live here for years and just, like, so many hiking paths and so much stuff around here. It's fucking awesome. Not just Ome, but, Ome, Ekiruno. Sweet. So anyway, yeah, I'd say the plan worked with only minor hiccups. Onward to the mall. And it's a little past noon. That sure is a bonus to starting your day early. You really don't need to worry about it getting dark. And yeah, by the time I get to the mall, I mean, it'll probably still be like 45 minutes from now, an hour maybe, I don't know. The day will get eaten up fast. Probably I'll just go to the mall, dick around. Now that I say it, I mean, the idea of the mall sounded nice. Like, oh yeah, the mall. Do I actually care about going into the mall? Upon further reflection, no. So what other subway stops are around here? Instead of Akigawa, maybe I should hit up one of the other ones. Yeah, it looks like Musashi Masuko, which is, I believe, the second from the last station, is the easiest one to get to, because then that final one, that one extra station, is a significant distance to get to. Musashi Itsukaishi. I don't think there's any easy walk into that bad boy. And that's for a different day. So yeah, maybe I'll just head down to Musashi Masuko and then head back. Because also, maybe I will actually get back to the train and fucking rewind this journey early enough in the day that these trains will not be a shit show. If I can get back to the Airbnb comfortably before 5 o'clock, I'll take it. I am not greatly looking forward to more crowded trains. So yeah, that was a weird adventure. Probably ill-advised, but I think it all turned out. It turned out pretty good. What even day is it? December 21st as I record this. So yeah, in a way, this is kind of like my Christmas present to myself. If I had to decide what I wanted to do for Christmassy shit, my first thought was the Ikebukuro area, and I might still do that on actual Christmas. But yeah, coming out west, making the long journey, paying the great big ticket price of $10 each way. Not something I would do every day, but a nice little treat, a nice little holiday treat. And then once I get my next Airbnb, it is something I'll do every day. Holy fuck, this is pretty. Just walking down this like road now where it's like medium developed, you know, there's some houses and stuff, some cars, there's a person getting in their car, and just all around are just fucking amazing trees. Man, if somebody's got a sculpture in their front yard that looks like one of those Jomon era deals. And the wind is blowing the the fall leaves. Pretty dang good, dog. All right. Don't say dog. Pretty dang good. All right, I apologize again to the Spirit of the Mountain for dropping my water bottle. Luckily, it was such an obscure area I was in that maybe that bottle will just be there. You know, maybe no other human being will ever see it again until our entire species goes extinct. And if a bottle is dropped in the forest, but literally no one ever comes across it ever again, then does it really matter? Maybe not. Maybe not. On that extremely deep fucking point, I will bid you adieu. See you next time.